During the election, I said fairly frequently, along with other people too, that if Donald Trump got back into office, he was going to strip America for its parts and sell them. I wasn't being that literal minded about it though, but it turns out, guess what? That's what he's doing. He's starting to sell hundreds of federal buildings. Can't imagine why. Also, turns out that he might actually be selling our intelligence secrets, which we knew he's already done, so that shouldn't surprise us either. But it's going to have serious, serious implications for our national security. Let's dive in. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Mary Trump's Nerd Avengers with me, Adam Parkamenko, former DNC National Field Director and proprietor of the absolutely awesome Substack, thealtmedia.com. Check it out. It drops every day. Also, Adam, you started to do more because the daily brief is one, fabulous, it's hysterical, and harrowing, all of those things. And you've started doing some longer form pieces, which are awesome. So welcome. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you being here because something happened the other night that I wanted to discuss with you. We're going to, I think we've talked a lot about this, if you can call it substance, of Donald's address to a joint session of Congress, which was horrifying in all of the ways one would expect it would be, but really hard to take in real time. But I want to focus on the Democrats because that was alarming. Today, the Republican-led House voted 224 to 198 to censure Representative Green after he interrupted Donald. Because how could you not during his address? And he shouted, quote, "You have no mandate to cut Medicaid," unquote. So this is for context. The House Republicans have advanced the budget, paving the way for $880 billion in Medicaid cuts. Of course, Donald didn't mention that in his speech. Democrats attempted to table the vote, but failed. And I think one of the worst things about that, because like as Green said, go ahead, I'm willing to accept my punishment. And also, who cares? But what kind of made my heart sink a little bit was that 10 Democrats voted to censure him as well, because I guess that's what we're doing now. And I just want to play a clip of Green after his expulsion, and then we can talk about it on the other side.
Is that what you said?
Well, look, I'm willing to suffer whatever punishment is available to me. I didn't say to anyone, don't punish me. I've said I'll accept the punishment, but it's worth it to let people know that there are some of us who are going to stand up against this president's desire to cut Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security.
So were you saying you have no mandate? Is that what you just said?
That's what he has no mandate to cut Medicaid. None.
Is the only punishment that you were kicked out, sir? Is there something?
I don't know. Whatever the punishment is, I'm not fighting the punishment. This is about the people who are being punished by virtue of losing their health care. This is the richest country in the world, and we have people who don't have good health care. We've got to do better. And now we're about to cut Medicaid, which is for poor people. Health care has become wealth care for many people, and we can't afford to let that happen.
Is that the only thing that you're protesting?
No, I have other things I'm protesting. And I'm also working on my articles of impeachment. This president is unfit. He should not hold the office. 34 felony convictions, 2 times impeached.
Is there anything else you're protesting? Like, who has time to name everything? But I just want to mention one thing first to just kind of like push the knife in a little more. Representative Dan Newhouse, a Republican, introduced a resolution citing the violations of decorum. And then he said this, which really hurts. Quote, if they want a 77-year-old congressman to be the face of their resistance, bring it on, unquote. Ouch. I know. Go ahead if you can.
Yeah, so I would say a couple things. One, look, we had like a layup opportunity, right? I guess it's been 48 hours now, and we didn't take it. When Al Green stood up for Americans, he wasn't just standing up for himself. What we should have seen is every Democrat in that chamber standing up with him and walking out with him. Like, let them kick everyone out, but don't leave him out there to hang. And the other thing is that some of the names, I guess I wasn't all that surprised when I looked at the 10. One that kind of stood out that I was a little shocked by was Himes from Connecticut. I think he's been a really good communicator. I think he's been really focused and working hard on protecting the integrity of the Constitution and our intelligence community and many more. And I think people see him as a future, senator or governor. And I thought that was absolutely disgraceful. I was very disappointed to see others like Jared Moskowitz on there. I don't think there should be any.
That shocked me, I have to be honest.
And I do think, look, because we're being honest, Hakeem Jeffries has got to get his caucus in order. And if he's not able to get his caucus in order, then he's not able to be the leader of the Democrats. So that's a big piece of this. It's very disappointing, but Al Green is an incredible Democrat. He's an incredible American. And to my fellow white people, I don't think we should ever be telling any Black person in this country where and when it's okay for them to protest.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And also, by the way, learn how to be an ally, perhaps, because that was for me, out of the many, and there were so many horrific moments, but that was the worst one. That they just sat there.
And he's taken Mike Johnson has taken more action against Al Green than he's taken to put up a plaque honoring law enforcement for January 6th, right? This is the party that literally pardoned the individuals that were smearing their own feces in there and taking a San Francisco Giants World Series bat to smash a 200-year-old mirror in Nancy Pelosi's office. They pardoned these folks, and they're kicking out a guy who is elected and is standing.
Yeah, and standing alone, because it seems to be that the Democratic strategy has not changed to meet the circumstances. They just are not meeting this moment. And listen, I know people get very angry at me when I critique or constructively criticize Democrats, but what, we're supposed to just let them keep doing what they're doing, which is by acquiescing, enabling all of this? No, we can't. We know they don't have power, but there's so many other things to do. And it gets even worse when after that just demoralizing lack of performance on Tuesday night, I can't tell you how many fundraising emails I got from Democrats who were there. It was incredible. And did you freeze?
Mary, if you can hear me, there's a little bit of delay. There's a little bit of delay on my end. I'm not sure if it's we have like 40-mile-an-hour winds here. So
I can hear you. So that's
restart.
I can hear you. So unless we want you to leave and come back, it's fine for now.
You're freezing up and the audio's coming a little slow. So I apologize. But if for any reason I have to restart, I will.
Okay. So basically, the number of fundraising emails I've gotten from Democrats since Tuesday night just shows you, I think, how tone deaf they are, because they continue to go after the invisible, imaginary, non-existent middle, leaving the rest of us in the dust.
Yeah. And I mean, I actually, prior to joining you, I was just in the middle of reading this New York Times story about Act Blue that came out today. I'm probably halfway through it, and I don't really know what's going on over there, but it looks like there was a mass exodus, and it mentioned, a number of people there are concerned about certain things that they weren't able to figure out exactly what was going on. However, it seems like many of them are worried that this is just going to turn into like one big Republican investigation into Act Blue. So I don't know. There's a New York Times breaking story on, the lead fundraising website that is for Democrats. But I agree with you completely. I mean, I talked to a source on the Hill today who was with a Democratic senator who said that they've talked to their Republican Hey, Waj, they've talked to their Republican colleagues who have said that Elon has threatened them with a minimum of $50 million primaries if they do not toe the line. And so, when it comes to money is sort of, meaningless at this day and age when they're able to do whatever they're going to do. And as we saw, he was writing $1 million checks to, quote unquote, everyday Americans that were signing a pledge to vote for Donald Trump. And we haven't seen anything come from the FEC. And typically when something does come from the FEC, it's gridlocked anyways. Republicans are always going to err on the side of Citizens United.
Yes, so this is so true. Erring on the side of Citizens United. That's a bumper sticker. Waj, it is great to have you here. I was wondering, we were just talking about not Tuesday night so much as the censure of Representative Al Green and why it happened. So just your thoughts about the fact that 10 Democrats also voted with all of the Republicans to censure Green. And as you know, when he was removed, no Democrats stood in solidarity with him, which, as I said earlier, was for me during a night of unrelenting horrors. That was the worst moment for me.
Yeah, and beforehand, if you recall, Senator Warner from Virginia went on Fox and praised Donald. And
wait, I am not aware.
Yeah, Senator Warner of Virginia went on Fox during the afternoon, and he said, "Hey, I respect the office of the presidency, and even though I don't agree with Donald on everything, I'm going to go, and plus, we have to give him credit for what he's done. He on the border on immigration." Check out the clip. I think Mercedes or Lexi could bring the clip. It was disgusting. And then also Hakeem Jeffries, the Punch Bowl reported that Hakeem Jeffries told the Democrats to counter in a tame way. So that's why you said
ping pong paddles.
Yeah,
awesome.
That's why you said Democrats like nerds sitting there like with these super small ping pong paddles. I had to like strain my eyes to see what was happening, because that'll show a fascist when you just meekly raise your ping pong paddle. And Al Green, who's I think is 70,
77.
Excuse me, thank you, 77, with his cane standing up, and he knew what he was doing, and he was standing up for Medicaid and Social Security. And I'm sure Adam and you all talked about the fact that Marjorie Taylor Greene and Boebert during Biden, right? They were super rude and aggressive.
We didn't. Thank you.
We didn't, but it's a good point.
Yeah,
Boebert and MTG were just as gross and heckled Joe Biden.
But Green wasn't gross. He was just protesting. They were gross in their friggin' MAGA hats, and
they were like, "You lied," like just super trash. And then what happened? Because Democrats bring an eraser to a knife fight, they're like, "Oh, you could stay, Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene, because that's civility and decorum." And then I was watching, and I tweeted this, and this post, on Blue Sky, is that as it went on, and I had to watch it for Zatara, else I would have seen it with you guys and enjoying the Avengers. As he was getting so egregiously shameless, so egregiously vulgar, disgusting, lie upon lie, right? I mean, I don't know, it was just so exhausting after a while. What I would have done if I was the Democrats is following Al Green's lead. Every 5 minutes, I would have had a Democrat stand up, say something powerful, and then leave every 5 minutes. So like one after another, after another, after another. Now, yes, Republicans and the media would have been like, civility, blah, 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 blah. But who gives a shit? Pardon my language, right? Like,
well, Marjorie Taylor Greene was wearing a hat again.
Yep.
Yeah, like who cares? Like what it's like, and going back to Senator Warner, what did his civility get him? Donald still mocked Democrats, ridiculed them, humiliated them, kept saying we won, called Elizabeth Warren Pocahontas as she sat there, and she was like, remember that? That was her response.
Good job.
Yeah. So,
and Waj, I missed this, but Mark Warner then proceeded to go on MSNBC the next day and said, "My words, they were not great. I would like to take them back."
Just retire, bro. Like, I checked up on it. Because I sent that clip to a few other people who were so like incensed. 70 years old. I'm not knocking those who are older. This is not a comment, but like there was a graphic that came out yesterday, Mary, about the people in the most reliable blue districts. I don't know if you saw in the House and the age of the Democrats, 86 to like 77. Like what are we doing? Like some of them, 2 or 3 of them, like Maxine Waters, 86. Okay, she fights.
Yeah.
If you're incapable of fighting, if you are Senator Warner at this moment and you go on Fox, just look at that clip. Literally, just go do something else. Go do something else. And that was my
nothing. The guy is worth more money than gold.
Oh yeah,
you could just go relax.
My thing, Mary, is you see, you're much nicer than me. I think I saw that during the tail end of my fast. So I'm fasting, so I'm supposed to be nice,
yeah,
but I was just
makes
like
everything worse.
Yeah, in a very nice way. I was like, I nicely said this. I'm like, just take Elon's rocket and launch yourself into the sun.
That works. I'm for that. Can it fit enough Democrats? Because honestly, it is not an age thing. Hakeem Jeffries is in his 50s.
Useless.
What is he doing? He is literally protecting the moderates. They picked a Lisa Slotkin, for Christ's sakes, to do the rebuttal. And she's telling, after that display, that grotesque display of fascism, let me tell you a little bit about myself. Nobody cares. And then the first thing she said, now about the economy. Oh my God. We just saw the death of American democracy. And you want to talk about the economy? Well, and working about whatever. I mean, it was fascinating.
But also, Mary, did you see when you saw the Slotkin thing? I'm so sorry, real quick. Just because Democrats don't learn, she kept praising Reagan. I don't know if you saw Reagan. I'm like, and I sat there watching this. I'm like, who cares? Who cares? First of all, Reagan was terrible. Second of all the Reagan Republicans are seen as rhinos. Why are you talking about Ronald Reagan and praising him? Like, what are you doing? Maybe, I don't know, talk about progressives. So I saw that, and it did nothing for me. I wasn't even trying to be a hater.
We have the clip. I'm officially a hater now. We have the clip.
So, do you agree with that assessment that Donald Trump is the only thing that's needed to change the circumstances at the border?
I think it is good that we're at a 25-year low in terms of border crossing. My words yesterday, they were not great. Let me be the first to acknowledge that. And I think what he's doing to our economy and our
Why weren't they great? Why weren't they great?
Because the notion that the numbers are down, which I think is good for America, and I think the vast majority of Americans realized President Biden didn't have a secure enough border. Those numbers are down. That's good news for our country. But the idea that that becomes an ability to sanction ICE to have, unfettered immigration raids doesn't make sense. So my choice of words yesterday, I'd like to take them back. The data does exist on the numbers being down. What we've got to do going forward, and we again heard last night from a president who had a State of the Union that I'll stand by my words, was the least amount of outreach to anybody who didn't vote for him, that doubled down on all the MAGA issues. Wasn't a good night for America last night.
I'm really sorry, but fuck off. I mean, what seriously, that is insane to me. And the idea that you're criticizing, first of all, Democrats on immigration are horrific because all they're doing is trying to be out-Republican Republicans. No word, nothing about the extent to which they are brutalizing immigrants and undocumented workers. No word about how their approach is devastating lives, instilling terror in people, and also, as a side benefit, destroying our economy.
Yep.
Like these people, you're right. Go to the sun in one of Elon Musk's rockets, and there are a few people you can take with you because that was just grotesque. And if that's what the Democrats are, I don't think I can be a Democrat anymore, honestly, because I am clearly incensed. Okay, so moving on to something even worse. Wow, there are we have found, an internal memo from Veterans Affairs has surfaced was obtained yesterday, stating that the Trump regime plans to slash 80,000 jobs from the Department of Veterans Affairs. So watch this clip.
The Department of Veterans Affairs is planning an aggressive reorganization that includes cutting 80,000 jobs from the agency that provides health care for retired military members. This is all according to an internal memo. The VA's chief of staff told top-level officials at the agency that it had an objective to cut enough employees to return to 2019 staffing levels of just under 400,000. That would require terminating tens of thousands of employees after the VA expanded during the Biden administration, as well as to cover veterans impacted by burn pits under the 2022 PACT Act.
Okay, so the memo in part says that they want to resize and tailor the workforce to the mission and revise structure, and kind of just adding insult to injury. It is calling for agency officials to work with DOGE, the illegal, unconstitutional agency set up by Elon Musk, not Congress, to, quote, move out aggressively while taking a pragmatic and disciplined approach to the Trump regime's goals. Just for context, the VA served over 9 million veterans last year and provided 127.5 million healthcare appointments. All of those services are at risk, Adam. So I mean, just for some more context, here's a clip of how veterans who are going to be seriously impacted by this speaking out.
Department of Veterans Affairs is planning a reorganization that includes cutting more than 80,000 jobs. Wow, 80,000 jobs from the agency that provides health care for retired military members. The VA's chief of staff told top-level officials at the agency Tuesday that it had an objective to cut enough employees to return to 2019 staffing levels of just under 400,000. That would require terminating tens of thousands of employees after the VA had expanded during the Biden administration, as well as to cover veterans impacted by burn pits.
Slashing staff, crushing unions, and selling out the VA for what? So billionaires can make more money while veterans sit on wait list. Worse, they'll get no treatment. Our president was asleep while Musk was at the wheel. Do you know what happens to a serviceman when they fall asleep when they're on duty? Veterans don't trust him. He's not one of us.
Oh, he is not indeed. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. Adam, go ahead. Just
I watched a video maybe a day or two ago of a traffic stop in Connecticut. And I guess it wasn't necessarily a traffic stop in the sense it was a car that was stopped that had called the police. And it was a veteran who wanted to take his own life. And then he was on, with the suicide hotline. As we're seeing, a lot of these jobs that are being cut are suicide hotlines for VA veterans. And it was a remarkable video because the veteran asked the state trooper if he could have a hug, and he said he couldn't afford the ambulance they were going to call. And he said, don't worry. The state of Connecticut is going to cover this. We're going to get you help. And the guy was like, can I just get a hug from you? These are people that have given everything. And it's not just them. It's their families. It's the neighbors and extended family who help the families, when military members are abroad. And, a large portion of these people voted for Donald Trump. It is time for people to wake up. But with that said, they don't deserve this. One story, I mean, just hearing that guy makes you want to cry. And this is just, one voice of thousands and thousands. Again, we've heard that quote, over and over, but it's judge the country, right, in terms of how they take care of their soldiers and their families and friends, and this it's pathetic.
Yeah, and I think what people also don't understand is that, of course, a lot of it is physical injuries, which are very serious and need to be treated, but there's a lot of psychiatric disorders. There's a lot of PTSD among vets who served as active duty, and these things left untreated can lead to psychosis, lead to increased levels of homelessness, which we know exist among veterans, and of course, suicide.
And just to add one more thing, Mary, there was a documentary on this, but the other piece of it too is the ability to take care of them when they come home. If they're retiring, or if they're reserves, or they're no longer going to be in the military. One of the reasons why so many people were involved on January 6th was because they became part of these groups, because they're used to kind of command and control and being part of something, and they wind up here, they don't have something, and they end up, part of an organization like the Proud Boys. And we've seen that. We've heard the voices and we've heard the stories, and it's literally documented. And there's just so many different reasons why we need to take care of these folks and give back to them what they've given to us.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be hard. We have an entire system set up to do this, but it's being dismantled. And listen, there are so many things about Donald that for some reason never gained traction. The myth that he's a successful businessman or self-made man, like it's just all just total bullshit. And yet it's a story that's been sold for a very long time. So enough people believed it, obviously. But then, of course, there is the myth that he is pro-veteran. This is a guy who dodged the draft during Vietnam 5 or 6 times. That's a lot. So that means 5 or 6 other people went in his stead. My dad was a second lieutenant in the National Guard, and in my family, you would think that he was like a drug addict shooting up on the corner. Seriously, it's like they had no respect. He certainly doesn't understand service or sacrifice or anything. So again, shouldn't come as a surprise to those of us who know these things about him, but it's still just horrific that, just because somebody votes for the wrong person, that does not undo the service they did to this country. And it's just another one of those things we have to figure out, along with what Adam was saying. How do we prevent people coming back from war or what have you from being radicalized?
Yeah, how's this, Mercedes? This is good. As she said, my mic was a little hot. Is that better? Okay, she gave me a thumbs up. With the VA, we're here, Adam and I in Virginia probably live very close to each other. I think I've bumped into Adam twice in the mall, accidentally at Tyson's. That's where I've met him, actually. But there's so many people who work here. There's so many veterans who depend on it, who've gone there both as patients and then as employees. This is, I think I said this yesterday. There are certain things that Republicans are doing because right now they're amped up on steroids, right? And what power does is sometimes it not only makes you arrogant, but it also makes you sloppy. And they're like, we have the House, we have the Senate, we have Trump for right now, he's 79. We have the Supreme Court. We can't wait. We're hungry, greedy kids in the candy store. Everything. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, abortion laws, authoritarianism. Why wait?
Department of Education.
Department of Education, IRS, DOGE, go ahead, cut everything. USAID, we don't care. The Supreme Court decision yesterday, they already turned on Barrett, and that should have been a 9-0 decision, was 5-4, right? So this is, I believe it'll be a Republican downfall, meaning Democrats are useless. What could slow down Republicans is Republicans, overreach. And I said this yesterday is, this is going after the veterans. Yeah, a lot of the stuff they've been doing, right? Like already firing over 25,000 federal employees, 2,000 of whom are veterans. We're going to feel that in about a month because rent's due. Then you're going to go after the VA veteran. You know what's going to happen? People are going to die because people literally here, we could tell you, depend on those services to survive. And then Donald Trump's own words about the veterans will come back. Suckers and losers, mocking and ridicule POW. I like the ones who weren't caught. He was too weak because of the rain to go pay tribute to the World War II veterans in France, right? He said his personal Vietnam was avoiding STDs. That's the person who Americans voted as president. My personal Vietnam was avoiding STDs. I had a rich daddy. It gave me bone spurs. That's why I couldn't make it. But with veterans in particular, I'm glad you brought that up, Adam and Mary. When you look at Oath Keepers, and when you look at Proud Boys, and when you look at the number one domestic terror threat in America, which is the intersection of white supremacy and right-wing groups, many of the people who are getting radicalized, and Kathleen Ballou has written extensively about this, are veterans, people who have the training, who come back, who don't, who are injured, who believe they were left behind, and as such, in this milieu, they oftentimes become the ones radicalized. Not all of them, but a lot of it, right? Are these veterans, people with military training? We saw the Cybertruck dude, remember that last month? Veteran who left, who was radicalized based on a domestic dispute. Huge Trump supporter, blew up his Cybertruck. The other guy, U.S. citizen, also a black man, converted to Islam, radicalized thanks to a domestic spat, but wanted to go out big. So instead of killing his wife and son, he's like, I'm going to ram the car. Veteran. So this is one of those situations where, as you're going after Medicaid, Social Security, the VA, I've said this before, I am not advocating for this, folks. I've been saying a version of this every few days. I know this country. We have 400 million guns in this country, Mary. We have more guns than people. We have a mass shooting every week to the point where it doesn't even make the news. The number one killer of children and young teens is guns. What do you think is going to happen in this country where Luigi Mangione, Mary, is seen as a hero by a majority of people? This is where I think Republicans are overplaying their hand. And I hope I'm wrong.
And what's going to happen with the people who can't pay rent, who have those guns? I mean, people are they're going to go to extreme measures.
And it was a Republican who tried to kill. I always want to remind people, because Republicans gloss over it. It was a Trump supporting, radicalized, gun nut white man who tried to kill Trump.
Oh, and Butler?
The failed assassination attempt. Young white man, obsessed with guns, Trump supporter.
Yeah, it's bad. And the stresses that are going to be brought to bear as food gets more and more expensive, gas gets more expensive, cars become unaffordable, rents get higher. Yeah, it is going to be a perfect storm of situations that I think most people aren't equipped to deal with, because none of this, from their point of view, is anything they expected. Speaking of how well it's going, there was a CDC email that Senators for Disease Control sent out on Tuesday, March 24th, reinstating 180 employees who were fired 2 weeks ago as part of Donald's mass federal jobs cut. The employees received emails with the subject line, "Read this email immediately," but they were fired, so why would they? But anyway, perhaps some of them did. Originally, the Trump regime ordered 1,300 terminations at the CDC because it's not like we have problems with infectious diseases at the moment, but only 700 to 750 actually received notices. And then there was a reversal. So 550 still remained fired. This is despite the fact that Robert Kennedy promised radical transparency, which sounds like, Elon Musk promising radical free speech. Officials, of course, refused to provide any details. Senator Raphael Warnock, whom I'm now angry with, called the reinstatements a welcome. It was Warner. Sorry. I don't know why I mixed
We
them
love
up.
you, Raphael.
Yes, we do love you, Raphael. No, that's Warner. I was confused. Don't listen to me right now. I'm going to fix this. Anyway, because we were talking about Warner earlier. So my apologies. I love Senator Warnock. I really do. Anyway, Warnock called the reinstatements a welcome relief. Well, but warned that public health remains at risk until all fired CDC workers are restored. The email reinstated people. The email reinstated people, the people who had been fired. So, we're seeing this kind of reckless hiring
Mary,
and firing.
When I was a kid, that reminds me of my father used to say, this is long before the war, but he used to say to me, how do you make a Ukrainian happy? You take away their toilet paper and their heat for a week, and then you give it back to them, right? So by firing these 130, 180, and then giving them back, right? Mark Warner is clapping. I mean, it's just not how it works.
Yeah, you're no, this is just a sign of the times and how just insanely incompetent and well, Adam, this is what happens when you take a wrecking ball to the systems that are actually functioning well. As we learned during the first Trump administration, a lot of the institutions in this country were weak and needed to be shored up, but some of the systems actually work pretty well. And if you have no respect for that and you just come in with a wrecking ball or a chainsaw, as it were, and just randomly fire people. Oh, wait, shit, we need people watching the nuclear arsenal. Maybe we should. I mean, it just creates the kind of chaos that Donald thrives in and leaves the so called opposition still, for some reason, trying to find the silver lining in all of this. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is over the last 10, 20 years, right, the population of the United States has grown while the number of civil servants and quote unquote bureaucrats has gotten smaller. And the individuals that are there for a reason, right? They make sure that, people are getting the help they need. A lot of these jobs are not only paying for themselves, but they're, paying for other jobs in government. They are protecting us. And the in terms of what actually needs to change, right? I think many agree that there needed to be an overhaul at the Secret Service for years. Ever since they've been out from under Treasury, they've had a lot of issues. There's a lot of agents you can't even trust. When Kamala Harris became vice president, there was a whole period of time in which she had to specifically vet agent by agent to make sure that she could trust the people that were protecting her, because that's what they were coming into after Donald Trump had been in office the first time. Those are the types of things that we should be fixing, right? Yeah. And it's just nothing good obviously is going to come from what's happening right now.
No, and nothing's good coming from the DOGE's approach was because the policies of the Trump regime thus far, including massive tariffs, which we have some news about we'll get to in a minute, federal job cuts, threats of mass deportations, have made businesses hesitant to fire. Consumer confidence in spending are declining for the first time in nearly 2 years. Doesn't everybody miss that Biden economy? And it's been reported that hiring in the United States private sector dropped sharply in February. Yep. So let's take a look at this clip.
A big miss on ADP, coming in at just 77,000 for the month of February. That's the smallest monthly gain since July, and a sharp come down from the 186 in February and in January. Total private pay was just 178. The estimate was 148,000. On income or on wages, something followed closely by the Federal Reserve. Job stayers, 4.7%. That's flat. And job changers, 6.7%. That is down a tenth.
Oh, well, it's all going so swimmingly, Waj.
I mean, it is going so well. And based on what we said is once you let Elon Musk, a private citizen, the world's richest man who gave $290 million to help Donald get elected, who has not been confirmed by the Senate, who, according to Trump's own attorneys in the filing, is not the head of DOGE. And DOGE is, we still don't know what DOGE is. It's still not really the arm of the federal government. It's kind of independent. We don't know who works for DOGE, but we know it's like 19 to 25-year-old, essentially kids without any experience, any oversight, any accountability.
We're getting paid a lot, apparently.
We're getting paid. One of them goes by the name Big Balls, who's 19. The 25-year-old, the elder, Marcus Elise is the one who bragged about being racist before it was cool and said normalize Indian hate. And then for 2 days, he was fired or he resigned. But then Donald and JD Vance, who is married to an Indian woman and has biracial kids, said, he's just a kid. Bring him back. So now he's back, folks. The guy who's a eugenicist and a
Don't
racist.
judge him by things he said a week ago.
Yeah, don't judge him by the stuff he said literally 2 days ago. That's I always want to bring those receipts. Those are the folks. Those are the people that JD Vance goes to bat for. But transgender athletes, throw them under the bus. Women, throw them under the bus. Immigrants, throw them under the bus. Children who are citizens born to undocumented parents, throw them under the bus. People forget Tom Homan openly said the borders are, we won't separate families. We're going to deport these kids, the citizen kids. We're going to send them to Guantanamo. Kristi Noem said, yep, families will be held in Guantanamo. And speaking about the immigrants, remember that you have now immigrants sitting there with signs in Panama who are stuck in limbo saying, help us, free us. And Democrats are like, we don't know how to message others, and polling is bad, so let's go centrist. If it's all about the economy, right? We were told it's about the economy, the price of eggs. I was always doubtful of that, because what that misses is the cruelty, the misinformation, the racism, the xenophobia, and the misogyny. But if it's all about the price of eggs, Mary, price of eggs are record high right now. Groceries are record high. We might have a recession. Donald played chicken with the trade war. That's breaking news again. I'm sure you talked about it, like he swerved with Mexico about an hour ago.
We're going to talk about that right after this.
Yeah. And so, but nonetheless, we're seeing retaliation. We're seeing Canada retaliate, Ontario retaliate, Mexico retaliate, EU retaliate. We're not making America great again. The American anthem is being booed in every single Canadian sport. And like you said, this report that just came out, as a result of DOGE cutting jobs, what do you think is going to happen, folks? That's right. Joblessness, unemployment, more claims for benefits, people who can't pay their rent. If people can't pay their rent, what happens? The tenants lose their apartments. Maybe start foreclosing on your home, right? You can't buy groceries. You can't help local businesses. The entire I'm not even an economist. I'm a simple English major, and I know it's bad for the economy, both locally and nationally. It's only been 45 days, Mary. Do you feel great again? Do you all feel great again?
And for folks watching, if they're not aware, we're going to be painting potatoes for Easter this year in the United States.
Hold on to your potatoes, folks. Wait. Hold on to those potatoes.
Yeah, well, because that's next. Oh my goodness gracious! So just quickly, trade. These are the hardest hit industries. Not that they're important for anything. And by the way, no, nothing feels great. Trade, transportation, utilities lost 33,000 jobs. Education and health services, well, education, please, lost 28,000 jobs. Information lost 14,000. Small businesses, and those in the West and South. Finding out must be so much fun.
And for people watching, that might for some reason think anything Elon is doing is working. Like, for instance, this work from home bullshit, bringing people back in. What you're seeing is folks that I won't name this agency, but one example of someone I talked to has been working from home. They have a secure line that the agency came in and put in so that they were able to work from home. They're told to go to report to the office. They go into the office, and there's 10 people standing around for every desk, and they're not able to work, and they're in a building that's lease has been canceled, and they'll have to be out of in a couple months. So there's less getting done with those that haven't been fired yet, just for that simple fact.
And not only that, federal, you don't get overtime, but if you work from home, you log in, they can track your hours. It's not like you're just making this stuff up. You get credit, like for leave time, or like if you have a doctor's appointment or whatever, and it can accumulate. You can't do that anymore. So if you're in the office and you have to go to the doctor in the middle of the day, you have to take leave, and then you have to go back to the office, even if it's for like an hour.
And there's no workstation for you.
Well, that's what happens when all of a sudden everybody comes back at once, even though they were like split up. It is insanity. And I honestly, though, I think it's just to be, if you'll forgive me for saying this, just total assholes.
Yeah, I mean, and hypocrites, because he's getting money, he's getting contracts, he's not paying taxes, he doesn't go spend time with his kids, right? He's demanding people come back to work, not realizing people have to give daycare, which is extremely expensive, and gutting the Department of Education, which takes care of special need kids, but at the same time saying, nope, we're going to make you pay your student loans, gutting Medicaid, gutting Social Security, firing people. And then also, because Elon Musk is wealthy and he doesn't care, and Donald Trump is wealthy, he doesn't care, and there's billionaires in the cabinet, they don't have to worry about, the stress. Think about the mental stress. And again, speaking of the fact that we're in Virginia, and you don't have to be in Virginia because a lot of the federal workers are basically in red states. If you really think about it, if you step back, it's not just in blue states in Virginia, but in Virginia, because it's so close to the government, I can tell you how many friends I have for the past month. who work, some work in labor, some work in security, some work in the education, some work at USAID, State Department. So many of them are in existential dread. These are parents. So you think about working, thinking about being efficient, where you literally, as Adam said, don't know if the building that you work in is going to be sold. You have no idea if you have a job. I don't know if anyone's ever been poor. I would not recommend it. But even having this guillotine over your neck, will I have a job? Will I have an income? Am I going to be afford that vacation? What's going to happen in a month? People don't work well, Mary, under that constant stress. That's what's happening. That constant mental stress of literally you might lose your job, everything you've worked for. You're going to be cut like that without any recourse whatsoever, and no one's going to help you. That's what folks right now in the government, our federal employees who are not millionaires, that's what they're experiencing. Chaos, confusion, like one of the what Smila said in the chat, and just fear. And how can you imagine what that does to a family, a marriage, parenthood? What does this the economy as people save, right, instead of spend? Just something I want people to think about.
And talking about those buildings, I think it was Rachel Maddow last night. I didn't see it, but by putting out there these buildings that we're talking about, they put out too much information, which exposed, I believe, some CIA sites. But the other piece is, who do we think is going to buy these buildings in Washington, D.C., right?
I have
if you
idea.
Think of Arlington County, there's a
Uh-huh.
big Marriott hotel that looks down on the Pentagon. And for years, they had to make sure that was not used by other countries spying on the Pentagon, right? So, I mean, these are buildings that are located in proximity to the White House and other operations in D.C., not even, starting to scratch the surface of other things throughout the country. What could go wrong?
No, it's going to be Donald's cronies buying it for,
pennies
on the dollar.
And the Saudis.
And the Saudis.
Jared's
and
buddies.
Then releasing it to the federal government for exorbitant price. That's what's going to happen. And, Waj, you make such a good point about how, both of you, about how disruptive this all is, because if you're used to working in an office 2 days a week and at home 3 days a week, you've organized your life in a very specific way. And all of a sudden it's childcare. It's also pet care, and it's just knowing that you can, if you have to work late, you can do that. Now you have to be in the office. You have to pick up a kid. Yeah. I mean, none of it makes sense except in the context of these are just deeply, viciously cruel people. Okay, so we have breaking news about tariffs, which is becoming one of my least favorite subjects because it just never stops. This shouldn't surprise us. Donald just announced that he's postponing tariffs on Mexico until April 2nd. He posted this on his failing social media platform. Quote, after speaking with President Claudia Sheinbaum of Mexico, I've agreed that Mexico will not be required to pay tariffs on anything that falls under the USMCA agreement. This agreement is until April 2nd. I did this as an accommodation and out of respect for President Sheinbaum. Our relationship has been a very good one, and we are working hard together on the border, both in terms of stopping, I'm not saying that phrase, people coming in across the border from entering the United States, and likewise stopping fentanyl. Thank you to President Sheinbaum for your hard work and cooperation. First of all, he didn't write that email or text, post, whatever it's called. And secondly, Adam, it just shows you how easily played this idiot is.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
Our headline this morning that we used was "To riff or not to riff." But look, half the time he's so quick to say something and then so quick to pull it back. You wonder, has Xi Jinping even heard it, right? Because it's like they're sleeping at that hour, right? It's someone waking him up to say, "Hey, here's the latest news," and then by the time he wakes back up, it's it's gone. It's a bunch of bullshit that's hurting lots and lots of people. There was a great Fox News clip the other day where they went to a Dodge dealership in Pennsylvania. They went live, and the guy was standing in front of the Dodge Ram and said, it's an $80,000 Dodge Ram, and it just went up to $100,000 this morning. And the owner of the lot said it doesn't really matter because it wasn't going to sell anyways.
Right. Yeah, that's sort of where we are. And in terms of our former allies, I think I'm starting to call them, they're getting really sick of this bullshit. His attacks is on unnecessary, unprovoked, and deeply weird, honestly, attacks on Canada, Mexico, NATO are just frustrating everybody. Canada's foreign minister, Melanie Joly, called the U.S. trade policy a psychodrama, which is actually a very accurate way of describing it. And France's President Emmanuel Macron is considering extending nuclear protection to Europe. And we haven't even gotten to, because we're running out of time, what is happening among Saudi Arabia, Israel, and the rest of our Five Eyes kind of allies now. They're going to stop sharing intelligence with us, which is something that we all warned about before the election, especially if they get somebody in there like Tulsi Gabbard, all bets are off.
Because they know it's going to go to Russia. They know it's going to go to Russia, and they also know, especially with DOGE, again, going back to DOGE, DOGE, it was just breaking news right now, is seeking information into, what was it? You see what just broke? Was it they're seeking information about child payments when it comes to custody? So, hold on one second. It just broke. Seeks access to sensitive income data kept by Federal Child Support Office. 18 minutes ago, DOGE seeks access to sensitive income data kept by Federal Child Support Office. And right now, the workers are trying to stave off these 18 to 25-year-olds from getting this information. There's also information that they want about U.S. workers' wages, right? So that's what's happening, right? So right now, DOGE is seeking access to workers' wages. They've already sought access to the financial data in our Treasury Department. We don't know, Mary, what they've already downloaded. They haven't given this information back, right? Sensitive, classified information about Americans, about our Social Security. The question I have then, the reason why I brought this up is we don't know if they're selling this to anyone. We don't know if they're sharing this with anyone. We don't know anything about these DOGE members who are 19 to 25, right? And then you think about Tulsi Gabbard, whom Russian media jokes is Russia's girlfriend. That's her nickname for Tulsi Gabbard, who's the director of our national intelligence folks. Then you have Kash Patel, who's the head of FBI, who only wants to use that perch for vengeance. Then we have the fact that Donald is parroting literal Russian propaganda. Literally, folks, I'm not making that up. So if you are an elected official, if you are a government employee, if you're working in intelligence and have some fidelity of the Constitution, do you feel comfortable right now that your own leadership won't betray U.S. security and U.S. data and sell it out? I want to remind people that Donald, one of the many charges was the stealing and storing of classified information that he refused to give back, Mary.
I was just going to say, we don't know who he shared that with.
And we don't know who he shared that with. And we know that he also talked to Putin several times. And we know that Elon Musk talks to Putin several times. So just for those people who want to have some more nightmare scenarios, I just want to remind people why this DOGE thing and this information thing and this data thing is so important, because we don't know what they have.
Your point, wasn't it MBS that had like the Ziploc bag of cell phones and was like, get me the Trump phone?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he used to brag that MBS bragged that he has Jared in his back pocket. That was MBS's brag during the first administration.
It is so clear, and it has been clear all along. Okay, so we're going to wrap up now. I just want to check out everybody's comments, questions, and thank some people. Kid Super Sticker, thank you so very much. That's awesome.
We didn't make it to Gavin Newsom, so we'll save that for Tuesday.
Gavin Newsom throwing Democrats under the bus and agreeing with the Republicans while talking to Charlie Kirk. That's the headline.
Do not get me started. Tova, yikes. The stuff of nightmares. Tova, thank you very much. Comment. I wish I could afford so much more, but maybe you can buy a stamp or something with this. Thanks for all. Or half an egg. Thanks for all you do. It matters. That's very kind of you. We really appreciate it. One egg. Yeah. Julie, Super Sticker, thank you so very much. Connie, thank you as well. That's great. Radkerson, thank you very much. Comment, this division is part of their plan. Put AOC and Bernie in charge now. Yeah. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, all for that. Sorry.
They're never going to let her come near power.
Well, then that tells us everything we need to know.
And also Jasmine Crockett, who's been so fantastic.
Oh my God, it's amazing. Like she just tells it like it is, and she tells Elon Musk to fuck off because she has. Why would she waste her time talking to that person? He doesn't. Anyway, he's not elected or anything.
Wait, I know you're getting ready to think this one, but for the next show, if you haven't played it, you got to pull up Jasmine responding the other night, speaking directly to Trump voters. I'll make sure you guys get it. But
that's what you know. What I could do for the live tonight,
clip.
Actually,
Such a great clip.
Yeah, so if you said that today, that'd be great. So I can play it tonight. Lone Super Sticker, thank you very much. That's fantastic. A CBB, thank you. That's great. Trudy, thank you very much. Canadian, you rock. Comment, Mary Trump, the only Trump I'll ever respect. Well, there's one other one, but I keep her under wraps. Canada loves you, my friends. Well, we love Canada. Hang in there. It's going to be okay.
Elbows up.
That's right. Elbows up. I didn't realize I knew that was a boxing thing. I didn't realize a hockey thing. So somebody's like, that's Canadian. I'm like, well, that's a boxing thing. It's a hockey thing. Because, hockey does belong to Canada.
Well, unfortunately, we've seen a lot of our good hockey players, even with the Capitals, come out of the closet and be all in for Donald Trump recently. So
why hide anymore?
They're not. Right. They're done.
Colette, super sticker, thank you so much. That's also Canadian. Spring, wow, very generous of you. We so appreciate that. Thank you.
Mary, how many subscribers do you have?
I don't know, but I think we're almost at 310,000.
We got to get to 350.
No, we have to get to 500, but you know. Yeah. Oh, you mean increments? Yeah, that would be the next cool increment. Lizzie, thank you so much. Lizzie Beth, sorry. Thank you for that comment. Thank you for your coverage of veterans issues. They also serve who tell the truth. Yes. Liberté, thank you very much. Comment, watching Vance and Johnson going up and down like a horror draws. Oh, Jesus. What is this? I was like, draws like a verb? Anyway, it's hilarious.
Did you all see this today? Also, DOGE is driving Social Security cuts and will make mistakes. Acting head says privately. Do you feel great again, America?
Did we ever?
That just came out like an hour ago.
Oh, well. What a drag. The finding
Social
out
Security,
phase.
I mean, listen, Mary, Social Security, VA, Medicare,
all of it.
People, these are the most popular programs in America. I mean, people are going to die.
Watch, it's socialism.
Oof, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad.
It already is. So yeah. Valerie, super sticker, thank you so very much. Gene, another super sticker, thank you as well. That's great.
Sky Blue. Sky Blue just gave 10.
Oh, wow. And Canadian. Hang tough. Super sticker. Thank you very much. Penny, super sticker. Thank you so very much. Oops. Uh-oh. What did I do? Oh, no. I just missed somebody. Another Canadian. Can you put it up?
I've noticed Canadians really respect anyone in America who's standing up to Donald.
Well,
thank you,
I mean, how could we not? No, that I have that one. Anyway, I apologize. A Canadian just gave a very generous donation and I pushed the wrong button. You think I'd be better at this by now? Nope. No. Well, yes, but it's fine. It's fine. I'll keep going. And I so apologize to you and I will try to find it and thank you next time. My bad. Gene, super sticker. Thank you very much. John, super sticker, thank you as well. And back to Sky Blue. Thank you, Sky Blue, for that. Awesome. And Margaret H, thank you for another super sticker. All right, that does it for us. Thanks to everybody watching on YouTube. Thanks to the dwindling number of people coming in from Twitter because I'm a little suppressed on Twitter and nothing I post gets any views, including especially links to live streams. So glad you found us. Also, everybody watching, listening to the podcast, we really appreciate that. We're trying to grow that. And of course, for your comments, they're fantastic. All the super stickers, everybody throwing gifts at us. I promise you the money goes to all of the things it needs to go to keep this place running and to keep the
Eggs.
show going.
It goes to eggs. Mary needs to eat.
I don't eat eggs, so it doesn't have to go to eggs. So all of the extra money can go to like paying for stuff, not eggs. That's show associated, right? That's an advantage of not eating eggs right now.
Including the like 3 to 4 books you read a day.
Well, yeah.
Supporting good authors.
Yes. Yes, we should all be doing that as well. Read bad books. Okay, so thank you also to the moderators who make this a safe place for people to be, to my incredible team for doing extraordinarily heavy lifting on a daily basis. I so appreciate all of you. And of course, Waj, Adam, it was such a pleasure to hang out with you guys today. I love doing this, and it actually makes everything so much easier for me to bear. So thank you for being nerds. And I think it's Thursday. So everybody, please check out Waj's Substack and Adam's Substack. They're fantastic. They're essential reading. Subscribe. It's free. And if you can, get a paid subscription because it's so worth it. Also, what else is going to say? We've got Mary Trump Live tonight, 6 p.m., Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. Lots of videos dropping all of the time. And the nerds will be back on Tuesday at 12. I'm not sure about that yet, but we'll keep you posted. We might be changing the time, but maybe not. So just count on 12 noon Eastern for Tuesday. And I will see you tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern. In the meantime, everybody, please stay safe and be kind. See ya.